I'm the executive director of Mainstreet Uptown Butte, which is a Main Street program affiliated with Main Street America and the National Trust for Historic Preservation. It is a community redevelopment organization with a focus on historic preservation and community redevelopment. So we follow a four-point approach, which is, and all of them do. There's 1,600 of them across the country in different communities. It's design, promotion, organization, and economic vitality are the 4 points of the Main Street approach. And so in Butte, that translates into things like we plant trees, we remove graffiti when it's on a business, and that's under design. Promotion, we're responsible for events that take place in the Uptown area, Uptown Butte, including the Montana Folk Festival is our largest event in the course of the year. That's in July. And we also do the Christmas stroll and ice sculpting contest in December. Those are coming up. Under organization, we try to work with other organizations, other groups, and that includes, in this case, the Mainstreet Society as well as other organizations throughout town. If they're working towards similar goals, then we want to help them, and we want them to help us. So it's a mutual collaborations. We try to connect with other organizations to do things like that. Economic vitality is just keeping track of businesses as they come in and go out, and try to make sure that if a building is empty, that we work towards steering people who may be interested in starting a business into those empty buildings, because the idea is that if a business is inside of a building, it preserves that building for years to come. And so, that works out that way too in every community. It's better to have a building that has a business in it than to have a vacant building. So. The Mainstreet Society is trying to raise funds to improve the exterior of there's two buildings, the Mainstreet and the Chong, but they're adjacent, so it looks like one building, but they're actually two buildings. One was built in 1899, one was built in 1909. And they are now serve as a museum with artifacts from descendants of the Chin family who lived in that building, but also other things that are related to the Chinese-American Chinese community that was in Butte. Butte, at one time, about 10% of its population was Chinese, who immigrated from China pursuing the gold, mining for gold, but they eventually went into other occupations such as merchants, restaurant owners, laundry, railroad, a lot of different occupations that they did. They didn't work underground mining in Butte, but they did a whole lot of other things related to the business aspects of the community. So it's the Mainstreet is like one of the last remaining artifacts of that immigration from China that took place from the 1860s on to the till about the 1940s, when people left Butte, along with a lot of others who weren't Chinese. Yeah. So the Mainstreet is, right now they're involved in this contest. They were selected by the National Trust for Historic Preservation to compete with other communities in the country, 20 of them, to possibly win $150,000 for exterior renovation of the buildings, which is much needed. It's really hard to raise that kind of money locally, especially in a small community like Butte. So this would be a windfall, not a windfall, they're working very hard for it, but it would be it's a great opportunity. It's a challenge, but it's a chance to take advantage of this contest and win it and bring this money to Butte to invest in the renovation and restoration of the Mainstreet buildings. It takes a lot of votes. It takes people all over the place, not just here in Butte, but everywhere, who have an affection or a connection to Butte to vote for Butte every day, 5 times a day, with your email address. You can go to this site, voteyourmainstreet.org, and then you /Butte will take you right to the Butte project. But if you go there, you can vote up to 5 times a day for this project, for Butte's project, and then this will, if there's more votes in that for that project than for others, then they win. They will be awarded. October 29th is when they decide. So it's a short time frame. Right now it's October the 2nd, so it's 24 days until it ends, and then 26 days until they get word of whether they had the most votes or not. But we're getting reports every week about how many votes have been cast, and so far close to 10,000 have been cast for Butte. So there's people who support Butte, and they don't necessarily have to live here, but it's great if the people who live in Butte support the contest and vote for Butte. Well, they call it the can-do community. People rally for collaborative causes all the time in many different ways. People are, I'm involved with the Montana Folk Festival. We have about 900 people who volunteer every year. From a community our size, that's astounding. But it's also people from around Montana and other places too. But that's just one example of throughout the year. For a variety of reasons, people are very much engaged civically in helping their community to survive and thrive. So there's people with different interests, but they usually are very generous with their time, up to a point with their money too. I mean, people donate beyond their means, it seems sometimes, for different projects if they believe in them. So Butte is a very strong-knit community, strong-knit in terms of it's a community where people are descendants of immigrants from around the world, and they carry that forward as the strength of diversity that is evident all the time. If you look at a phone book, you know, there's Irish, there's Italians, its surnames are from all over the world. So it's a small community, but at one time it was one of the largest cities in the West, and so it still has that kind of cosmopolitan feeling with tall historic buildings, even though we're in the middle of a very rural state. And that would be the Herbor Tower on the corner of Broadway and Main. It is it was modeled after a skyscraper that somebody saw in Chicago, which was steel framed, went up 6 stories, and it is it's still in great shape. It was built really well, but Butte had a lot of money. There were millionaires who lived here, and they were able to bring architects in and tell them, I want this, I want that, and pay them to come to Butte and to design something. And that one is just down the street from that one is the Metals Bank building, which was designed by Cass Gilbert. He was an architect who designed the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. after he left Butte, but he was brought there by a Copper King to design that building and told them that money was no expense. And so they put a bank, the State Savings Bank, in there, but it also has become, it's sat dormant and empty for a long time, but now it's been brought back to life by the Yulin family, and it has a great restaurant in on the first floor, but even below there's Park and Main Breakfast Cafe there, but there's condos all the way up to the top floor. So it's been brought back pretty nicely. Oh, sure. Good place to start is the Chamber of Commerce. Mainstreet Uptown Butte has a website with a directory of businesses and other ways, things going on. There's an events page where it tells things going on. There's always an entree for people to get involved and be very welcome. There aren't as many people here as there once was, and so anybody that wants to get involved with something is usually very welcomed. Well, I just checked a little while ago, and we're in 4th place, which means that if we stay there and we don't get bumped out of that the money will come to the Maywa. It'll be $150,000 that will come at the end of the contest. Probably the top 9 will be. So the progress so far has been a great response, I think. Close to 10,000 votes as of yesterday afternoon. So it's going well, and we're trying our best to explore different ways in social media and other ways of doing interviews and telling people about this so that they will start voting. and vote every day. They can vote every day through October 26th. It's not just go there once and hit one time. You can vote 5 times a day. It's voteyourmainstreet.org, and then if you go /Butte, you go right to the project and you can vote right then. You can do it every day. When you wake up, before you brush your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, just vote. It's okay, you know. And it's great practice for November, is what we like to tell people, that you can practice all October and then get ready for November the 4th, when the other voting starts. But you can't vote as often as you can for this one. You can do this one every day. So. But it's going very well, I think, so far. I don't want to jinx it by saying that, but it's going very well. Yeah, a lot of work. A lot of people are reaching out to social influencers and others that they know and asking them to share the information with their networks. And Dr. Monday is just doing every time I go somewhere on a Facebook group, he's already been there, so it's kind of I'm following in his footsteps and but we're reaching out in every way we can think of to tell people about it. We have put red lights on the head frames. It's one of our projects we've done over the years. Planted about 1,200 different trees all over the streets of Butte. And this will be the 12th year that we've produced the Montana Folk Festival. So that's one of the things we're proudest of, is that event just continues to grow, and people come from all over the region. It has taken us beyond the borders of Butte to bring people here to experience Butte who might not otherwise have had a way to interact with the tall buildings, the mountains that surround us, and probably one of the best weekends of the year. So that's it's been pretty cool. Well, I think people know that Butte's it's one of the largest communities in Montana, which doesn't mean it's huge compared, but what do they say, 1 in a million. There's only 1 million people in Montana, and Butte is one of the 7 largest towns. So, and pretty often we impress and surprise people around the state with what we do and how we do it. So I think people know that Butte's still there and kicking and trying its best to move forward. But it is a lot of things going on in Butte right now that are the envy of other communities in Montana and elsewhere. This contest in particular is one where people are wondering how we got in among 20 communities, including Baltimore, Miami, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and it's because of the richness of our history, for one, but also the fact that we just keep trying to do things and move forward. We've drawn on our experience with public radio, commercial radio, Facebook ads, Facebook boosts. We've had full-page ad in the local media, as well as the Helena paper. We've done other kinds of outreach through email and social media. Yeah.